Greetings, fellow citizens of Disneyland. The best view of the entry of Adventureland always begins right here on the bridge to Frontierland. But this is a video where we're going to look at all the details of Adventureland for spring of 2021 as Disneyland is reopened and Adventureland finds itself in a unique moment in history, even though it's one of the park's opening day lands, and a land that's kind of always lived by its own set of rules, and I think influenced two major lands that have come after it. The Adventureland sign has been made huge and epic. The Enchanted Tiki Room, allowing people to go in there, which I'm going to say that right now, this would be the only show, the only current show that is running, right? If you can go into the Enchanted Tiki Room, what else can you do right now that is an indoor show? And as always, Adventureland always bottlenecks and gets busy in here. But if you remember, there used to be like a little stanchion right here. And now you can see up in the air there, they've overbuilt that, kind of creating that same vibe, but it's such a bigger size than what it used to be. And then we have all the fun detailing over here. Step out of the way. The Bizarro rock bathroom with the cool little sort of grass hut tree house up there with the hidden little bird with the snake up there. Hard thing to see, but there is our scene where the sort of Aztec building matches up with the lumber of Frontierland. Waterfall is really turned down, but here we can see all of that nice detailing along the edge, as well as all the fun detailing over here. And this is just one of those parts of the park that when I came back, it just felt like it was shining in a way that it hadn't before. And then up there we get all the fun different shapes of the roof to come together. That makes the Tiki Room just really a phenomenal part of Disney's history. You can see here how the waterway from the other side really tapers and has a lot of heavy lifting in there. Let's move our way over to the edge here to what I think is one of the best quiet spots in all of Disneyland. Is the patio up here. Just look at that view. We have all the folks waiting to go in the Tiki Room, and then you have this beautiful patio where you can hang out, sort of escape and get away. And if you can get one of those tables, really catch an amazing view down the main artery of Adventureland. Where you can just sit back and look at the architecture and all the people coming and going. Really fun spot. This is the area where I took my very last photo at Disneyland before it shut down. But up here on the corner of the balcony, we get to look at the Hideaway, which has a lot less tables in it than it used to be. But the first big thing that you notice is just taking the Jungle Cruise out of Adventureland. Man, oh man, does that change the vibe of Adventureland. Jungle Cruise, 1955, opening day classic, but really the heart and soul of Adventureland, in that almost everything in Adventureland sort of touches it. And why wouldn't it? It's probably, other than the Rivers of America, the largest attraction that sits inside the berm, completely 100% inside the berm. So many of the other attractions would have to have the front facade inside Disneyland, but like Pirates and Haunted Mansion and Splash Mountain, you're technically leaving Disneyland once you go on the other side of the railroad. But an opening day classic, the Jungle Cruise, sits nestled 100% purely inside of Adventureland, inside of Disneyland. And when it goes down for its big refurbishment and it gets taken away, we are missing the view of hearing those boats cruise through here every couple of minutes, hearing the echoes of the cap guns off in the distance, and really cheated out of the view that makes the hideaway feel so hidden off the banks of a jungle. It'll be back soon with lots of well-deserved modifications that I'm in favor of. But until then, we see a very different Adventureland without its main anchor, its main attraction, doing what it so famously does for this pretty magical land. And back in here, we see a lot of the storytelling of Adventureland, the Galaxy Edge vibe of all the different light fixtures, the walls with the distress. We can see Rosie is on the right side of the go-away green tarp. But this cute little bridge area, due to social distancing, it's all very managed. Kind of have to go certain ways, but you can still get the vibe. Look at all that beautiful detailing up there, and the series of roofs, how they all come together. And the light fixtures with the patterns on them. It's a really beautiful project. And then we see the Jungle Cruise conveniently being used for the flow of Indiana Jones. So when people were asking, why did Walt Disney World's Jungle Cruise stay open while they were doing the construction? And why did California's need to close? Well, I think a lot of that has to do with Indy remains one of the most popular attractions in all of Disneyland. And being able to use the Jungle Cruise as a way to take all of those guests and reroute them through. Maybe a happy accident? But you can see the guests that are currently going through there. They are moving at a very, very brisk pace. Giving this much extra room allows them to absorb way more guests at a much faster rate and keep everybody socially distant. But it does feel weird without the Jungle Cruise being a part of the land, because it is such a signature piece of Adventureland. I mean, you know, Indy probably the most popular attraction, but when you think classic Adventureland or the heart and soul of it, it is the Jungle Cruise. And what a beautiful facade. And then we see more guests up there. And I don't know why, but this is the Bermuda Triangle of Disneyland. Always you will see people that just love to stop in this spot. I don't know what it is about this spot that makes people want to stop and have a conversation here. But man, oh man, is it always just jam-packed with folks. And unfortunately, the waterfall over here, the rapids, are not completely dry, but not running with the force that I love when the rapids are going strong and bringing all that kinetic energy to the land.
Yeah, stop. I'm right here.
As we look back down, we see the opposite view of where we started, way down there on the balcony, on the edge of the tiki room. And you can see, even though the Disneyland has a limited capacity, it doesn't take much for Adventureland to feel full. From this vantage point, we can also peer over and see guests inside of Indy, but see that the main part of the waterfall is not flowing right now.
Tracy, slow down! Chase? Chase, wait! Wait for me!
But as we look back down, so many people, and if this is where the line for Indiana Jones starts, boy, would you be in for a surprise once you get shuttled over to the Jungle Cruise. But what I really enjoy about this area over here is how there's a princess coming through. I really enjoy, though, how these buildings slowly shift from classic America riverbanks, slowly getting more bright, slowly transitioning over to different textures, creating this gradient of going from the rivers of America over to the tropical jungle. As we work our way over on the bridge, you can definitely see a little bit more how all that detailing comes together, creating all the different layers, all the different storytelling. Here we can peer over into Indy. And catch this seam right here where all this brush creates a barrier on the edge of Pirates of the Caribbean. From here you really get a view of just how all the buildings are just so specifically cut up to create so much storytelling, from the edge of Big Thunder all the way over to the edge of Adventureland. Peer over and see the hidden tombs of Indiana Jones. Lots of folks down there. But with the Jungle Cruise being down, not only do you miss it from the Tropical Hideaway or from going through the heart of Adventureland and hearing that sound, but as you can see, as guests walk through here enjoying Indiana Jones, you once again miss the boats coming by. And if we look over the wall there, we can see that the rivers are fully drained. There should normally be a river. There should normally be a river flowing through there, and right now it is not there. And the Jungle Cruise is one of those attractions, like, even though you may not ride it a lot, even though it may not be your favorite, and it's no secret it's not my favorite, you do miss that sound. The boats trolling through, the cap guns, like just all of those vibes. You just miss it when it's not there because it feels so Disneyland, feels so Adventureland. Once again, over there you can see on the back side of the dock, water is drained, and it is a very, very different vibe over there for sure. And here we get a little bit of a bird's eye view on the various different buildings that we'll go look at next, of just how Adventureland keeps telling that story. Over in there through the woods, we can see a lot happening for the Jungle Cruise. See, once again, the water all dried up through here, and these long, very exotic trees keeping a visual difference and fitting in nicely with New Orleans Square, but also fitting in nicely with Adventureland, creating just a beautiful visual barrier. Two different lands, two different stories. Normally this should just have water cascading all the way down it, rapids, just adding in that sound, that vibe. Not right now. So let's work our way back through Adventureland and look at how this side of the park really transforms itself. This salmon-y type of color with sort of the Victorian accents, beautifully compositions with the blue. And then once you have that blue color, you can go even more extravagant. The blue matching with all these bright, warm colors coming together. And then that rolls right over to our first truly sort of tropical looking building. This looking a little bit more like a little festive. But then we come over here and we see something that looks more tropical. And then that trend will just continue as we get around the thatched roof of Bengal Barbecue. Hello, how are you? And we work our way over to this building, which, I mean, look at all the details. We have the rusted roof that you would see, aluminum sheet roof that you would see in developing countries. The story of this little ladder right to get up to the roof. There's a balcony up there on the top. All these various little windows. At the beginning of the video, I said that I thought Adventureland inspired two other major lands. And I think a lot of what was learned in Adventureland went into New Orleans Square. And then that storytelling continued over in Galaxy's Edge. But when you look at this, for me, I just have the curiosity of these balconies, this ladder going up to the roof, just the whole way that it looks so lived, which then allows us to make it to this probably most decadent facade with this rare little gap between buildings. More of the rusted roof. Same patio, roof with the awning, comes over to the flat roof, just telling you two different stories in one spot. Then we have one of the greatest tributes here is this window right here, Oriental tattooing by Professor Harper Gough. Harper Gough did play the banjo. I don't know that he was a tattooer, but he was the gentleman that was primarily behind taking over the responsibility of helping Walt design the Jungle Cruise. So not having his window on Main Street, having his window over here in Adventureland is quite fitting for one of the early minds that really helped shape what has become a world-class attraction, just something that is so thought of when people think of Disneyland. And from these stairs here, you can see there's the stairwell that goes up, a little balcony over there. the rest of the roof. And then we are a stone's throw from this roof. Little telescope up there. Rug hanging out to dry, just those storytelling that sits across from the Jungle Cruise, which unfortunately closed down right now to make a better Jungle Cruise, I believe. But you just miss that sound of the boats going by, the cap guns, all the fun that is the Jungle Cruise. Beautiful sort of decayed out area right there. Does that not feel very Star Wars Galaxy's Edge? I mean, this area in general, the textures, the different shapes of the building, sort of how it's worn down, overgrown with plants. There is a lot of Batuu inside of Adventureland. And you may not have stopped and thought about that. Stepping back here, you just get these awesome views with the way that it's the jigsaw puzzle of various buildings. Different ones stick out, they recess in, just creating that visual line with the palm trees there. You don't see New Orleans Square. Everything perfectly tapers just to keep you embedded inside of Adventureland. And then we work our way back up to the very end, back at the Tiki room, where you see this little bridge over here, going to that first window, this balcony with all these worldly treasures facing the street. And then when we look back down, the median in the middle, perfectly designed to block our vision beyond Adventureland. So when you come around this forceful turn, right, this turn that congests everybody, this is a magic trick so that when you go into Adventureland, you don't actually see where you're going, and it's a surprise around the bend for you. Friends, I hope you enjoyed this walking tour through all of Adventureland. Spring of 21, Jungle Cruise closed down to do some refurbishments, but kind of a perfect happy accident, right? With needing a place to put all the guests that want to experience Indiana Jones. Thank you so much for watching today's video. Thank you for taking this tour. If you enjoyed it, maybe leave a comment below. I'm going to keep touring all the different lands and keep taking you with me, and I appreciate you going on the journey. Friends, until the next time I see you floating around the island of Manhattan and Catalina on the Jungle Cruise, I'll see you back on the channel with more Disneyland updates.